I want to give you a hypothetical example of something that's probably happened to one of you watching this video. You got your first car at 16 years old, and you love that thing. The car held up so well. You kissed your crush in that car. You had your first kiss in there too. You traveled the country with your car. You made so many good memories with it, and it's always going to be a part of you and your upbringing. But now, you're 40 years old, and you still have that car. And the car, even though it was great for years, is falling apart to the point where it is barely functional. The air conditioning doesn't work. The radio doesn't work. It takes forever to start. Defrosting the car during the winter takes 90 minutes. Random lights are on that shouldn't be on. The car is basically a different color because of how much it's weathered over time. And it is very obvious that it is time to get a different car. Nothing against what the car was, because you loved it and it gave you some of the best times and memories imaginable. It was the best car you could possibly have. But at this point, it's time to move on, because you cannot function with the car as it currently is. And the car itself can't even function. That was Tom Landry. That was freaking Tom Landry, as in this man right here. Look, I get that Landry is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the National Football League. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. I get that he coached nearly 3 decades in the NFL, and that you've either got to be really good at your job or have to have the world's greatest blackmail on the owner in order to last that long in the league with one team. I get that he was the only coach that the Dallas Cowboys had, and he built that team from nothing into America's team, and a team that made it to the Super Bowl 5 times and won 2 with playoff appearances and division titles on the regular, and with an astonishing 2 consecutive decades above 500, which is something that we might never see again. But I don't get the hate that Jerry Jones got when he became the owner in 1989 for firing Landry. I'm not even talking about hindsight bias, seeing as it clearly worked out when Jimmy Johnson built a new dynasty and won the Super Bowl twice. The Cowboys could have hired the Saving Demon spawn of Urban Meyer and Hugh Jackson for all I care, and I still wouldn't have understood the hate. I get that Landry was a part of so many good memories and was the only coach that Cowboy fans knew. But by the end of his tenure with the Cowboys, it was obvious that the man could not coach, that the game had passed him by, and that I'm not even sure he knew where he was. Seriously, no disrespect to Landry, because obviously the man's a legend. But by the time his Cowboy career ended, the man might have legitimately been, no exaggeration, the worst active head coach in the NFL. Case in point, what happened during his final trip to Philadelphia in 1988, when his Cowboys took on the Eagles and lost the game on something so dumb and so stupid that you're wondering what the heck Tom Landry was thinking. It was moved so bad and a rationale so stupid that, no joke, you could have fired Landry right after the game in the middle of the season, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it, because it was clear that the man not only lost his touch, but lost his eyesight and every other sense. Because this is the story behind the worst game and the worst decision of Tom Landry's career, and the moment that, in my opinion, cemented his eventual firing after the 1988 season, and officially ended the Tom Landry era. Make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe, hype up that video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. Because we post every single day on here about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL with stories like this one that you may not have heard of before. So if you like that sort of stuff, then this is definitely the place for you. Thanks in advance for liking and subscribing, and for hyping the video, and for helping us grow this community. And with that in mind, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys and what might have just been Landry's last stand. Before I talk about the actual incident in question and just how insane it was, we need some context to understand the importance of the game in hand, as well as how the game was going. It's October 23rd, 1988. It's week 8 of the NFL season, and as we're at the halfway point, we've got an NFC East battle on our hands at Veterans Stadium between two bitter rivals, with the Dallas Cowboys going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. For the Cowboys, to say that this season had not gone well for them would be putting it lightly. It would be just a bit of an understatement. After Dallas started the season off 2-2, with one of those wins being a Monday Night Football game against the Phoenix Cardinals that you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner, and the other win being a home game against the Atlanta Falcons, where they came back from behind, that you can also learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner, the Cowboys found themselves on the ropes and with their backs against the wall after losing 3 straight games to drop to 2-5. Thanks to the second worst offense in the conference, the Cowboys were dead last in the NFC East and found themselves 2 back of the division lead. Now, that's not to say that winning the division was impossible, because again, the top team in the division was only 4-3. If you win this game and improve to 3-5, then anything is possible. Drop to 2-6 though, and the season is over, and you'll find yourselves on the outside looking into the playoff picture with a losing record for the 3rd straight season. The good news for the Cowboys, though, was that late in the contest, they found themselves up 23-17. It was 23-10 entering the 4th quarter, but thanks to the Eagles scoring a touchdown on their previous drive, it was now a 1-score game. So a bit closer, but you've still got the lead. And part of why the Cowboys had the lead was because of this man right here, as in their kicker, Roger Ruzek. There were a lot of things going right for the Cowboys to get this lead against an Eagles team that seemed way better on paper than the Cowboys were. But the main thing was the fact that Ruzek could not miss and was super accurate on this day. Granted, the kicks that Ruzek had to make weren't that difficult, neither by 2025 standards nor 1988 standards. But you can only kick the balls that are in front of you, and he knocked every field goal home, going 3 for 3, with all the kicks coming from inside 40 yards. Ruzek had never made a kick longer than 50 yards in his career, so your field goal range is pretty limited. But considering how well he'd been playing all day, if you get into field goal range and stay in range and kill clock on the drive, you're going to win the game. With that, here's the situation for this man right here in Cowboys head coach Tom Landry. There's 2:24 left in the contest. It's 3rd and 3, and your Cowboys have the ball at the 23-yard line of the Eagles. If you get a first down, you can keep that clock moving some more. The Eagles only have 1 timeout left, plus the 2-minute warning. So the odds that they win the game if you get the first are super slim. You've got Herschel Walker in the backfield, one of the best running backs in all of football, and a man who had over 100 yards from scrimmage before this play already. If you run the ball, there's a good chance you get the first down, and you force the clock to run. Worst case scenario on a run is that you're not going to lose yards, or at the very least, not enough yards to wipe you out of field goal range. If you get a field goal on this drive, the score becomes 26-17, it becomes a 2-score game, and you've got the game won. This feels in many ways like Kyle Shanahan at Super Bowl 51 with the Atlanta Falcons. You're in field goal range. Just don't do anything to get yourself out of field goal range. Don't call a passing play here. Sure enough, this happens.
Play fake. Bootleg pulls up and just throws it away. A flag is down. Clyde Simmons roughing the passer. I think intentional grounding. Was that the call?
No, there was no receiver around the football.
That may be the call. Ballure went down under Simmons. Here's Dick Antak.
Intentional grounding on the offense, number 16. It is a loss of down at the spot.
Yep, intentional grounding. Granted, maybe you could argue that there was a receiver in the area, and maybe rookie wideout and 5th-round pick, number 80, Everett Gay, was in the area. But the play was not only a spot foul, but a loss of down. And with the Cowboys now at the 35-yard line, which would have made it a 53-yard field goal, Dallas had no choice but to punt the ball away and try to pin the Eagles deep. They went from field goal range and a pretty close thing to a surefire win to giving it back to the Eagles for no reason whatsoever, giving them one last chance in a 1-score game to pull off the comeback and turn their season around. And I'm sure this decision won't come back to bite the Cowboys in the butt in any way whatsoever.
Shotgun. Cunningham with a half roll. Lobs it. Caught. Touchdown. Anthony Tony.
Good job, Coach Landry. Good freaking job. The Eagles score with 4 seconds left to win the game 24-23 after nailing the extra point. The Cowboys dropped to 2-6, and their season was now over. And the reason why? Because Landry decided that it was a good idea on 3rd and short, when you're already in field goal range and have Herschel freaking Walker in your backfield, to call a pass. Which raises the obvious question. Why did he do this? Why did this man right here, Tom Landry, think that this was a good play call in that spot from the 23-yard line? Before going any further, even the Eagles had no idea what Landry was thinking. When the opposing team is thanking you for being stupid enough to hand them the game, that's when you know. When the opposing team is openly questioning your line of thinking and wondering why you just gave them a lifeline for seemingly no real reason whatsoever, that's when you know. Eagles head coach Buddy Ryan, who is normally reserved and quiet and usually doesn't have much to say, had no idea what Landry was thinking. In a rare time that he opened his mouth, he said maybe they wanted to score a touchdown instead of a field goal. And as Eagles safety Andre Waters said on what Landry did, I was surprised. You have a good back like Herschel Walker, and their field goal kicker was doing well today. I think what happened is they tried to rub it in. They tried to embarrass us instead of taking the sure win. They tried to humiliate us. Oh no, Andre Waters, no. You thinking that the Cowboys tried to rub it in is not even close to what actually happened. I promise you, the explanation for what actually happened is much, much worse. Because folks, this is the moment where Tom Landry officially lost his mind. This was the moment where I genuinely have no idea how you could want him as the head coach anymore outside of nostalgic reasons. Because his response when a reporter asked him why he decided to throw the ball was something straight out of another planet. If he said that he wanted to catch the Eagles off guard, or that he wasn't sure whether his kicker could make the kick, where they were currently at, and they wanted to get a chunk play or anything along those lines, fine. Alas, he did not say that. Because Landry said on the decision to throw the ball, we wanted to get down a little closer. We wanted to dump the ball to Timmy Newsome to get 5 yards. We were at the 30. In other words, Tom Landry made this call because they weren't in field goal range yet, because they were at the 30. And he wanted to get 5 yards to get down to the 25 to get into range for Ruzek. And can we go back and look at where the Cowboys snapped this football? Can we take a look and see where this play was going? Oh yeah, the 23-yard line! The freaking 23-yard line! Tom Landry called this play thinking that the Cowboys were at the 30 and were out of field goal range and needed to get to the 25 to get into field goal range. Meanwhile, they were in field goal range the entire time and were at the 23. Landry misjudged where the Cowboys were on the field by a whole 7 yards. I get misjudging something if it's 4th and inches versus 4th and a long one. I get misjudging something by fine margins. But 7 whole yards? 7 yards? 21 feet? Landry's explanation for calling a pass there was to get to the spot that they were literally at. Tom Landry, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, clearly had lost his eyesight by this point. Naturally, a reporter chimed in and told Landry that this was wrong, and that the Cowboys were at the 23, to which Landry, for some reason, decided to fight with the reporter on this. Landry responded to the reporter's claim that they were at the 23 with, "No, we were at the 30," to which the reporter insisted that the ball was at the 23. At that point, Landry said, "I'm not sure where the ball was." So Tom Landry called the play to get to a specific spot on the field without knowing where the ball even was in the first place. I honestly don't even know what to say to that. This isn't even one of those quick processing decisions like clock management or timeout management where you have to make a split-second call. This isn't something like that where it might seem obvious with replay, but not in real time, especially if you don't have the best angle of it. All you have to do here is literally look at the freaking field. They even give you the courtesy of labeling the yard line markers for you. And let me tell you, there's a pretty substantial difference between the 30-yard line and the 23-yard line. Landry probably thought that 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 1 were the same thing. I know it sounds ridiculous because they're clearly not the same, but that's the difference in 7 whole yards. That's how big we're talking here. Landry was only 64 years old, so he wasn't senile at this point or anything along those lines. But genuinely, how do you even make a mistake like this? How do you call a play to get to a spot on the field when you don't even know where the ball is, and when, if you just looked up, you would have seen that you were in that spot with 2 yards to spare? And people still wanted this man to coach the Cowboys after the 1988 season? People were upset with Jerry Jones for firing the man? How? The man had no idea where he was. No joke, the man legitimately had no idea where he was on the field. As one writer said quite nicely, the bottom line is that the offensive struggles and defensive collapse wouldn't have mattered if Landry knew where his team was when it mattered most. Couldn't have said it better myself. So what did we learn from all of this? If you have no idea where you are on the field, then just look up and you'll see it. If you're already in field goal range and a field goal will win you the game, then don't call a play that could get you out of field goal range. If you want to keep the clock running, then don't call a play that could stop the clock and actually have a high chance at stopping the clock. And if you're calling a play against a field goal range when you're already in field goal range, and by your own admission, you're in field goal range, then you probably shouldn't be coaching anymore, or you should get some glasses and get your eyes checked out. I'd like to think that this was the exact moment that Landry lost his job, and that nothing short of a miracle the rest of the way would have saved him. Because you just can't have a guy like this patrolling the sidelines anymore. You just can't. As good as Tom Landry was to start his career off, he truly was atrocious back in 1988, as his career was clearly coming to an end. And this is the prime example of that. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires and when you lose your job. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.